Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the West Ham Weekly. Thank you all for joining me. Much appreciated. Um, well, let's get on with it, shall we? The news, ironically, well, strangely, surprisingly, that the club put out is that Kurt Zuma is definitely out of the tie against Lyon on Thursday. They actually put it on the official website. I was really, really dumbfounded. I was really surprised that David Moyes, we know what he's like. We know he's quite keen to keep things under wraps, etc. It was a strange, strange thing to have done, but they've announced it to the whole world that Kurt Zuma is definitely out of the second leg tie against Lyon on Thursday night. There were pictures circulating around social media earlier today that he was signing some shirt for a fan, and people saw the boot, the sort of the support boot that he was wearing, and people were asking whether that was a photo that was taken recently or whether it was taken some time ago, etc. But because it was around the ankle, supporting the ankle, I think we all knew that it was definitely a most recent photo. But there you have it. I'm really, really surprised that David Moyes is actually allowed, unless it's some canny, some I don't know, something that Moyes is up to. I'm really surprised he's even allowed for that statement to have been put out on the official West Ham website. But that's the news. Kurt Zouma is out of the Lyon game for Thursday. A number of scans. He had a number of scans on Monday. He had further scans. He had scans on Monday. He had further scans today, and it's been confirmed that he will be missing. So it's going to be a massive loss to West Ham. Obviously, he's a great defender. He's someone that what a time. What a time. I mean, we were worried that he went out injured when we were building up to the Christmas period, and all the games that he missed out there. And we thought we were going to fall away. And now it's happened again at the crucial time of the season when we're in the second leg of the semi final. He's out again. So I'll give you later on, I'll talk about the Lyon game. I'll do a build up of because they've got their injury problems as well. So I will update you all on what's happening with the teams game, the Lyon's game, etc. But also other games as well. Like we've got to talk about the games against Brentford to talk about, the first leg against Lyon, plus all the player news and so on and so forth. So I'll bring you up to date on all that news throughout this show. But let's go into the chat and see who's there and wish everyone hello. Good evening to you, James. Hello, mate. Thank you for joining. Much appreciated. Good evening, Hammerette. How are you? I wasn't late. There you go. I wasn't late. So how about that? Good evening, Daniela. How are you? I hope you're well. Mr. Osborne, how are you? I hope you're well too, mate. Michael, hello, mate. Thank you for joining. Much appreciated. Good evening to you, Trini and Aidan. And good evening, Mr. Spanner. I hope you're well, Toby. Long time no see. James, good to see you there. Peach, I hope you're well, mate. I hope all is good with you. James Bong's in the house, and John. People like that. Thank you. People do it for me because I keep forgetting to do it myself. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do subscribe to the channel. It would be much appreciated. Good evening to you, Peter. I hope you're well. James, typical Zuma, bottles it against the big cats. Someone did suggest, is he out of the game because he's going back to France and he'll be arrested for kicking a cat? I'm not so sure. I don't know. James, flat back forward, Johnson left back. Yeah, we'll go into that later on in the show. Good evening, Black Country. I'm late, however. I know. I'm early tonight. I'm early. Good evening to you, Jonathan. I hope you're well. Daniela, missed the weekend, was out. Well, welcome back. I hope you had a good time at the weekend. Good evening, Mark. How are you? I'm late to the new venue for this familiar show. Are you still on West Ham Network? No, I'm not. This is it now, Mark. It's only the West Ham voice for me from now on. Oh, plus the odd guest appearance on one or two other channels like Claret and Booze. If you haven't subscribed to those lads' channel yet, then do so. John, let's forget Brentford. Yeah, I know, but I'm going to talk about it very, very briefly. Daniela, everyone, press that. Thank you. Appreciated. Good evening to you, Victor. How are you, mate? Much appreciated for you joining. And good evening, Epic. Something must be horribly wrong if Stella's on time. I know. It's the new me, the new channel, the new me. What about that, hey? So let's get on with the show because we've got lots to cover, much of it is going to be brief. It's not going to be sort of too in depth, but we've got some general news for you first of all. So let's dive into that. So, season ticket renewal time. I mean, for those of you who are season ticket holders, I'm sure you know the details came out last week, inviting you to renew those season tickets, of course. Just before the second round of the second leg of the quarterfinal in the Europa League, they want to get those season tickets renewed before we find out what the result will be on Thursday night. Am I being facetious? You know I am. I'm being sarcastic. But look, season ticket renewal time is out. There was a hell of a lot of speculation about prices. They were going to go up by an increase of 20%, etc. And everyone was losing their shit over it. And people were getting upset before anything was really announced officially. But it's out. Season ticket prices have gone up slightly. I think I've worked it out to something like around 5%, give or take, which, all right. I know there are things like, we've got the cost of living increases and all the energy bill increases and all of that. And we'd much rather the season tickets didn't go up at all. But I don't want to, say it's great that they've only gone up by 5%, but 5% is a modest increase. So, if you haven't yet renewed, go on to the West Ham website, your e-ticketing website, and renew that ticket. Now, with that, there's an awful lot of talk about Daniel Kretinsky, and is it worth us renewing our season tickets when we don't know if Daniel Kretinsky is going to actually invest any money into transfers? Bit of an odd one. This I'm really quite flummoxed by this because I remember when Daniel Kretinsky first came into the club, and everyone was going, "Oh my God, we've got our own Abramovich, and he's going to spend an absolute fortune in the transfer window." And we were quickly told, "No, actually, no. Kretinsky's in. He's making an investment. He's bought a chunk of the team of the club. Sorry, 27%. But primarily, the money that he invested went to getting rid of quite a lot of debt." And we sort of said to ourselves, well, okay. And then we were kind of weaned off this thing that Kretinsky was going to invest a lot of money in the transfer window. And all of a sudden, I did a story a few weeks ago talking about Kretinsky and his thank you, and his dealings, his business deals in Russian energy, etc. And people, and I said back then that the investigations I didn't look like he was going to be short of money. I mean, he may be hit by some of these things that are going on at the moment, but he's got a lot of business deals, a lot of investment, and a lot of other things. Plus, we've been told quite a lot of the time was Kretinsky wasn't there to necessarily invest money in transfers. He's eased the pain of the debt that the club's in, but not necessarily to invest in transfers. So the story that all of a sudden that we're going to be suffer in the transfer window, I think is a bit of an odd one to have come up with. I don't believe that we are going to suffer in the transfer window. There was money in the January transfer window. That money is still there, so I'm sure there'll be more money added to the summer transfer window. Whether Kretinsky puts any of his own money in or not seems to be quite irrelevant. So I don't think we need to panic. I don't think that all these stories coming out about Kretinsky and his shortfall of income is going to actually affect West Ham United transfer policy. I could be wrong. I could be wrong, but I've always been led to believe that Kretinsky's money was not there to just fund transfer windows. It was there to sort of ease the bank balances. Make sure that the club got rid of its bad debt and all that sort of stuff. So I'm not buying into this whole theory that all of a sudden Kretinsky's not going to invest money and we're not going to have any money to invest in players in the summer. I don't think we need to panic, to be quite honest with you. So that was an interesting story that came out. Then the next story was, of course, the West Stand new seating plan. Now, I was quite excited because I saw what the new seating plan did for the Bobby Moore lower, which I'm in, and the Trevor Brooking lower, where it squared off the stands, to be a bit more like traditional football stadium stands. And I thought that's what West Ham was gonna do with the West Stand. But as you can see from that image there, not so. Are they going to square it off? Not nearly as much as I thought they would. Are they going to bring the seating any closer to the pitch? Absolutely no way. You can see by that. In fact, the yellow part is where the original the current stand is, and the grey part is where the new seating is going to be. So if you can see from each corner, it's actually going to move further back. There is actually going to be no one closer to the pitch, and it's really really unfortunate because I thought this was a great opportunity. I had it in my mind that what West Ham were going to do was they were going to level that off completely. They were going to bring it in line that the players and the managers were going to actually be closer as well to the to the pitch and so on. There wasn't a big gap between where the substitutes are and the pitches, but seems not. What a shame. What a wasted opportunity. And why are they even bothering to do it? I don't really quite get that. Now, West Ham are saying that the lower stand is going to be closer to the upper stand on the west side. Great, fantastic. So what? But what that actually allows them to do is, of course, they is going to put a few more expensive seats in, which is such a shame because that's not what it was all about. It was meant to be about making that stand level so that it looks much more like a traditional football pitch, and they're wasting an opportunity. This is actually going to come in for next season, for the start of next season, and what a wasted opportunity that they had. That is such a shame. Furthermore, there are obviously problems with the fans who have not been notified in advance. Now it's interesting because we had quite when we were told in the Bobby Moore lower that our seats were going to move, they seemed to inform us quite early on. But then when it came to actually reallocating us, they were scattering people around. Friends got moved where away from other friends, even families. I think there was one story where someone and his kid had actually had their seats moved away from each other and crap like that. Now, I know a lot of it was finally sorted out, more or less, but apparently we have the same issue now, where the stadium, where the club are not communicating properly with the people who have season tickets there, and in order to make sure that they can be accommodated correctly. They haven't learned from their lessons of the Bobby Moore lower and the Trevor Brooking lower. So there's that issue to contend with as well, and it's such a shame because they could have had a great opportunity to win the fans over here, but it looks like they're not going to do so. And why bother? Look at that. Why bother with this when it doesn't look any more like a traditional sort of seating area? If they were going to level that off, I'd be, for it. But what they're doing here seems pointless. However, as I said, they're putting in a few more expensive seats, whoopee, and also that the stadium is going to be increased. The capacity, subject to planning permission, is going to be increased next season to 62,500 seats. Come on, West Ham, you can do a lot better than that. If you leveled that off and communicated with the season ticket holders a awful lot better, I think you'd win them over. But you're not doing so with that. Right, another issue with the seating at West Ham for next season is the apparent closure of blocks 216 and 217. Now, apparently, West Ham United have been telling the supporters for quite a long time, sorry, you got to sit, you got to sit. And apparently there's been, sustained standing in those areas. And now the club have been served with a notice that they're not allowed, because of general safety certificates, they're not allowed to use those stands next season. And so people in those stands, 216 and 217, are also going to have to be reallocated. Now, we know, because we can see it, that the stands who are those 216, 217 stands are almost right next to, or they are right next to, the away fans in the upper tier and the lower tier. And we know that the away fans all stand up as well. But are they going to close that down as well? Probably not. So if you are affected by that, if you're into stands 216 and 217, my advice to you is get onto the West Ham West Ham United, their ticketing office, and asked them exactly for absolute clarity if that's what they're actually going to do. Apparently, fans have received notifications that that is what they're going to do, which is such a shame. And all right, look, we know West Ham are bringing in safe standing. They're waiting for the green light from government in order to bring in safe standing across the board. And West Ham have already designated certain areas in the stadium for that. I think Bobby Moore Lower will have standing areas, and I think Trevor Brooking's stand as well will too. So if you want to stand, and you know that you're going to be probably 216 and 217 is going to be closed down. My advice to you is reallocate now to the areas that are going to be designated for standing in the future. Where they're going to put, I mean, they're going to expand the capacity, but then they're going to lose. I don't know how many people 216 and 217 holds, but it looks like they're going to lose those stands. I can't believe that. Can you? That they're going to close them down completely? I don't know. Let's go into the chat and see what you guys have to say. Let's scroll up. Let's go to. Why don't we go to around here? Hammerette, I went to the game and it was quite depressing. Moving on though, I'm pretty confident we'll be hungry for Thursday. What game did you go to? Last week's game or something else? Something must be. Oh yeah, I've done that one. Good evening to you, Tony. How are you? We can hear you. Thank you. I did start off last week's show doing 5 minutes without anyone being able to hear me. There you go. That's what you get with me. The unexpected. Good evening, Paul. How are you? Good evening, West Ham Irons. Hopefully, we'll have some same. No, we don't have the ref. We've got the Swiss ref who, and I can't remember his name, who ref the first leg of the game against Seville. So even though he gave us a couple of bookings, apparently Moyes thought he had a good game. We won't have the same refs. One, there you go. Thank you, Hammerette. Daniela, happy Hammerette. I hope so. Fingers crossed it will be at the end of the day. We had a great year. If we're honest, it's been a great season regardless. I mean, I'm gonna, near the end of the season when we kind of know our fate, in the Premier League and also in the Europa League, etc. I'm going to do a show, maybe a debate to talk about what's it been like for you. Has it been successful, etc. Depending on where we finish in all these competitions. Good evening, Kimbo. How are you? I hope you're well, mate. Thank you for joining. Good evening, Anil. It's a big deal for Lyon putting all their eggs in the Europa basket. Hope they're left with eggs on their face before Easter. They are, aren't they? Because they made a lot of changes, and I'm going to talk about that later on in the show. John, I'll say it before anyone else does. If we beat them Thursday, we'll be known as the Kings of Lyon. Good evening, Jovi. How are you, mate? Thank you for joining. Should we go 5 at the back on Thursday with Rice between Dawson and Diop? It's been mentioned. It's an interesting shout. There's a lot of people that don't want that to happen, and many good reasons for it, because every time we seem to have gone 5 at the back in the Premier League, we seem to have lost games. So, but it's an interesting shout. I'm not against it, but at the same time, I'm not so sure about it. Peach, I just want Thursday to be yesterday, biggest match in years. We have to perform out of our boots. It can be done. Up the hammers. I'm surprised I managed to read that, Peach, but thank you for that. Jonathan, 150 million or 10 million transfer kit is not the point. Will Moyes spend it or not? Spot on, mate. And I've had that debate already. It doesn't matter what you give Moyes. What will he actually spend and what will he give back to the club? Hammerette, if they're on Ndombele is unfit for Thursday, then that's brilliant news. And apparently he is one of the players that is carrying a knock. Long Dark, I won't step foot in the ground as it is. It's such a shame, Long Dark, because they had, we were led to believe that they were going to level that. I don't know why I thought that, but I think because of what happened in the stands behind the goals, I genuinely thought that they would do the same with the West stand. I know there's a problem with the Billy Bond stand because it's a cop, it's one piece, so it might be a bit harder to square that off there. But goodness me, they're missing a trick, aren't they? Hammerette, I know someone who's been moved from row 8 to row 23 for these adjustments. Not good. Not good. Let's scroll down. They bring the stand closer for more expensive seats and to get the advertising boards more in the view of TV. We still don't have the stadium naming rights. That is very true. John, Mount has scored early for Chelsea. I don't really care. Victor, 1-0. Hammerette, 900 extra seats for Club London. Great. That helps us normal people with average wages. it's an outcry. It really is. It's upsetting. Good evening to you, Mandy. I hope you're well. Thank you for joining. Peter, somebody I know who's disabled has been told by text they will have to move. I don't know what that's all about. It's bad the way they can. I mean, they should have learnt their damn lesson with what they did when they informed us about the changes in the Bobby Moore Lower and Trevor Brooking. They did inform us, but it was so sporadic, and you had to phone them and check and double check what they were doing and make sure that you were going to be seated around the people that you know, etc. And it was really stressful for people. It wasn't good at all. Hammerettes, they go about moving people all wrong. Fine if they have to move them to change the stand. Fine if it means improvement, a proper improvement. That's not a proper improvement by in my eyes. And they need to communicate a lot better as well. Oh, you went to Brentford? I didn't know you went to Brentford. You should have told me. I could have met you there. Mark, not heard safe standing mentioned for a while. Off the agenda? No, it's not. Apparently, it's the government that's got to give the green light. So we're just kind of waiting. I don't know when it's going to be brought in. Maybe next season. I don't know. But apparently, quite a lot of clubs have already reconfigured some of their areas to actually have safe standing. We've done it. And quite a lot of other clubs have as well. James, maybe if you sat in your seat, there'd be less chance of dropping your phone down the loo. Mandy, if we go 5 at the back, they will dominate midfield even more than they did at our ground. They dominated midfield because we had 10 players on the pitch. Let's not forget that. But you're absolutely right. They had quite a lot of possession. Victor, if we have the ref who was in charge in the first leg, we have the ref who was in charge of the first leg at Seville. He seemed decent. I mean, he booked a couple of players, but Moyes seemed happy with him. Good grief. Zwayer, going to talk about him in a minute. Hammerette, the atmosphere has changed in there since we've been playing well. Feels much better. Yeah, it has been better, but the last couple of, I mean, I get disappointed where everyone moans that they can't get to the Lyon game, the home game, and then like there's 10,000 or so people missing from the last home game. And there's likely to be quite a lot of fans missing against Burnley. They're just as important. We've got to win those games. I was hiding. Yeah, I'm sure you were. Good evening, John. How are you, mate? Love the shows. Thank you. Have a good feeling about Thursday. So do I. I'm apprehensive. I'm actually more apprehensive about traveling out, being out there, than I'm about the game itself. And more because of their fans. But anyway, Victor, the problem with the stadium is we don't own it, so can't do what we want with the seating. We need permission. Well, here's the irony. Yes, you're right. But we've got permission to level off the seating behind the goals. We've got permission to change the seating in the West Stand. So we do have that permission, and apparently it will be cheaper also to move the seats for other events, etc., etc. But good grief. Don't just put a similar stand in. Do something a little bit better that is going to give us a better experience. Peter, I've heard that they are putting more corporate seats below. They are to fill the gap between lower and upper. There you go. Hammerettes, Mandy, so many fans have had their tickets cancelled in the home end. Not good. They will all be spread out in pub. Oh, yes. About the tickets for Lyon. Talk about that as well. Jovi, whatever happens Thursday, it's been an amazing 18 months. Exactly that. I totally agree. Tony, I've been going to games since 68 and this is a great season. Mate, I totally agree with you. Right, let's move on to the next part of the show, and we'll do this briefly, not to prolong the pain of the last 2 games, shall we? Because, well, no, not the last 2 games, certainly the last game. So, last week's game against Lyon, it was a fantastic atmosphere. I can't say it was as good as it was in the second leg against Seville, but the fans were behind it. They supported the team, and it was a good atmosphere in the stadium. All things considered. What do I say about this? Well, okay, let's look at the lineup. We know Areola always starts. It was a surprise to see Frederick starting, but I think To be honest with you, I think Fredericks actually did quite well. Zouma, Dawson, Creswell, yeah, the same as usual. Declan, Soucek, Bowen, Ben Rama. Lanzini wasn't available because of his suspension, so it kind of, I think the rest of the team sort of spoke for itself, didn't it? And then the usual suspects that we have on the bench, like Fabianski, Diop, Soufal, Masuaku, etc. Now I wondered, why didn't Johnson start? And I thought, you know what, um, in a way, it was. I think he was still feeling his hamstring, etc. So I think it was the right thing for Moyes to do to rest him. Although he didn't rest him for long because he did come on for all of the second half. So I kind of get why Moyes wanted to give him a rest, but there you go. So the lineup was announced, and well, what can we say? We were all worried about Declan Rice, weren't we? We were all worried about Declan getting a second yellow card and missing the second leg. Well, it seems that we should have worried about a lot more than that. And obviously, I'm talking about the referee. The referee was. We talk about our refs, Mike Dean, people and refs like that, but this was all about Felix Zwayer, wasn't it? He allowed Lyon to disrupt the game. He gave them everything, every call that Lyon players were going down on the turf, and they were just lying there until Zwayer eventually called to halt. And I always thought that you had to halt a game when the ball went out of play. Zwayer didn't do that. He just stopped the game at random. And then as soon as the game stopped, what happens? The Lyon player got up. Nothing wrong with him. There were one or two occasions when the Lyon player went on the sidelines, because they had to be seen to, etc. But on the whole, they took the piss, and Zwayer was in their pocket, and he did everything for them. It disrupted our game. It was frustrating, and they didn't even pick up one yellow card for time wasting throughout that game, not even one. But of course, we know what happened to us, don't we? Because even though they didn't pick up a yellow card, we got worse. Creswell, the harshest of red cards. Look, did he get a touch on Dembele? Yeah, a slight touch on the shoulder, but the professional that he is, Dembele just went down like a sack of potatoes, didn't he? It was just, and I think we've kind of like, okay, well, the refs called a free kick, fair enough. Dembele was going more towards the corner area than he was towards goal, and then out of the blue, Zvaya. Well, it was out of the blue, but he didn't hesitate, did he? Brought out the red card. We were incredulous. I don't think anybody in that stadium could actually believe what they were seeing. It was the most innocuous of red cards. It really was. Now we all know, and we've all heard that Zvyer has got history. Uh, Zvara has got history of being involved in certain games. He was after 1 year of becoming an official back in 2004, 2005. He was involved in a match fixing scandal. Now, apparently, he actually uh, um, blew the whistle on the ref Robert Hoysier, who was actually involved in the fixing, but he was involved too. Apparently, he got paid €300 for working with Hoysier to fix a game, and he was banned for 6 months. But the German league decided to keep that secret. They didn't tell anyone, and back he came, and then he's been given matches ever since. Now, for me, you get involved in match fixing. How can you be trusted ever again? How could you possibly be trusted ever again? It was weird, and he came under controversy again back in December when he ref the Dortmund Bayern game, and he gave a number of decisions which, yet again, were quite controversial, and it led Jude Bellingham to saying. Jude Bellingham was fined £34,000 for this, and he said you can look at a lot of the decisions in the game. If you give a referee who has match fixed before the biggest game in Germany, what do you expect? Now, look, he cheated. He cheated us. There's no two ways about it. He almost went out of his way to cheat West Ham United from getting a result last Thursday. It was just gut wrenching, and it was awful. And it was it ruined the game. It ruined the game. It ruined what was promising to be such a good game. And he like, and he even after that, he seemed not to be remorseful at all. He seemed not to give a damn about what he did, and he even had an altercation with David Moyes at half time. Moyes was, I mean, look at the look on Moyes' face. If looks could kill, Moyes was apoplectic with rage, and not to be blamed. And he got booked for that as well, Moyes, for his efforts, and you've got to say to yourself, how can this referee been allowed to actually have ref the game? It was weird. It was frustrating. It ruined the game, and it could have cost us. I mean, the fact that we actually came out and we did really well and we took the lead, etc., says so much for the team. But yeah, Mandy, I think you said, or was it Daniela who said, Lyon dominated the game and they had possession. Yeah, they did. They had something like 79% possession of the ball. I'm not surprised, when you're playing such a tight game, such an important game, when you're playing with 10 men against 12. Because let's be honest here, it was 10 players on West Ham side, 11 players on Lyon side, plus the referee as well. He might as well have put a fucking Leon shirt on, because it was literally 10 against 12. And even after that, the fact that the referee still allowed them to get away with blue murder in the second half and not book them for time wasting, etc., was mind-boggling. But we got through it. We were. I think we did well to actually get through it, and credit to the players. Credit to the players. We've got to now. Let's hope that the Seville, sorry, the ref against that was against Seville, that will ref the game on Thursday, is going to be a little bit more considerate and a little bit more balanced in his approach. Because Zwayer, sorry mate, you're corrupt. What can we do? You virtually cheated us out of a game. Right, let's move on to the Brentford game, shall we? Well, quite a different game altogether, really, wasn't it? Um, Look, three changes were made to the team. Fabianski came back in. We saw Soufal return as well. We saw Lanzini play as well. It was good to give those players some game time, because I think they'll both start in the game against Lyon. By the way, I'm going to do a preview on Lyon near the end of the show. So in a way, but these players that came in, I don't think they really did much better or different to the players that started against Lyon on Thursday. It was a lackluster performance. Let's not deny it. There was a lot of erratic passing, not much movement on or off the ball. The first goal seemed like Creswell was daydreaming. Look, some of the players that played, like I said, it was good to see Lanzini play. It was good to see that he looked, he got some game time, but he did look rusty. There's no denying it. And the turning point, perhaps the turning point in the game, was because despite not playing well, the turning point was Zouma going down on the 23rd minute and being and hobbling off. However, you could see, you know, the defense was a little bit disjointed when Zuma went off. Yeah, and the first goal that they scored was poor. Diop, it kind of went over his head. As I said, Creswell, he allowed a throw to pass him by, and then they got in and they scored. And it was soft, very, very soft. And then, of course, for the second goal, it was a mistake from Antonio. Antonio dithered with the ball outside their 18-yard box. He just dithered with the ball, and he had it taken off him, and off they went and scored their second. It was a poor performance. Ben Rama came on. He looked a little bit livelier. He looked like he was up for it, etc. But it was all too little too late. And it was absolutely a game to be forgotten. Brentford have taken 6 points off us this season, and we got to start beating teams like this. We had this problem before, where we sort of seemed to be up for the game against the teams at the top of the league, and yet we forget that we have to also perform against teams like Brentford. And they did a number on us. They did a number on us when they were at the stadium, London Stadium. They did much what Lyon did. Every time they would touch, they went down like a lead balloon and stayed down. But in this game, you can't say that they did that. They were better than us. They were quicker on the ball than us, and I hate to say it. I hate to say it, but they deserved their win because we just didn't turn up at all. Right, let's go into the chat and see what you guys have to say before I move on to the next part of the show. Yep, done that one. Mandy, done that one. Yep, going to talk about that in a little while. Tony, I've been going to go. Yep, done that one as well. Thank you, Victor. You reckon it should be a 3-5-2? We'll talk about it in a little while. Jovi, we complain when the away fans come in our end at the London Stadium. We're asking for trouble buying tickets in their end. I'll get to that. James, it's just more proof that GSB don't give a toss about the fans and all about their back pockets. It's a shame because they had such a great opportunity with the stadium to change it round for the good. Ian, Felix Zwayer has been put on duty by UEFA for Man City's game in the Champions League clash this week. Man City should complain and get that guy off. You know, hammer it. They should have been. They should have allowed us more seats than Jovi. Surely, so far both our home games have. Unfortunately, not. It's not. It's a case of they have. They will only allow up to 3,000 tickets. So unfortunately, if we get through, and if we Barcelona get through, even though they got a massive stadium, we'll still only get 3,000 for that as well. I'm going to talk about that. I've got mixed emotions about that, mixed feelings about that. Good evening, Steve. How are you, mate? Much appreciated for you joining. I hope you're well. Dabs, oh crap, I missed half the show. What did I miss? Not much. I talked a little about Zouma. I talked a little bit about the corrupt ref that's almost cheated us out of the game. And I talked a bit about the changes in the stadium. You know, the season tickets renewal time is up, and also about the changes in the about the changes in the West Stand, which are not good. Jovi, I agree, Hammer, but still asking for trouble. It is, but I will talk about that later. I know we need a striker, Steve, but I guarantee you again in this summer transfer window, I won't be surprised if we don't get a striker in this window either. Don't have a go at me like you did before. It's just my feeling. Garino, Felix is Keith Hackett's German nephew. I know, €300. Was it worth it? Tight git. Let's scroll down. James, shouldn't VAR now come in with the wink from Dembele? Apparently, VAR checked it and said it was all right. Really? Rightio. Mandy, why didn't we appeal? Okay, the reason why we didn't appeal, my understanding is if the appeal had gone against us, UEFA could have extended the red card for Creswell to miss more games. So it's a balance, isn't it? You know, you take it on the chin. I don't think we should have done. I think we should have appealed it. You take it on the chin and Creswell misses the one game, or you appeal, you lose the appeal, meaning that Creswell could have possibly missed more than one game. Dabs, we had a throw in, and then Dombele threw the ball away from Fredericks when it was 1 meter away. They did everything that was wrong, and they weren't taken to task for it. Peter, they need to do something about the rules to stop this happening, spoiling the game for most of the sport. Well, this is where you expect VAR to come into its own, and clearly not. Mickey, good evening to you. Only just found this channel. Why aren't you on new channel, new start? Thank you for joining. Do subscribe, Mickey. Do subscribe, because I'll only be doing shows on this channel, you know, my channel, the West Ham Voice, from now on. But thank you for finding me, Mickey. Much appreciated. VAR corrupt, Black Country, VAR and the referee corrupt. Garino, football authorities in the world shouldn't do. Football authorities in the world should do not often go together. Very, and you mean the word corrupt should go to. Forgotten my train of thought. Hammer it, Mandy. I heard that the suspension could be. There you go. There you go. She answered it for me. Yep. Yeah, done that one. Won't mention the foul throw. Yeah, that one as well. Good evening to you, Pat. I hope you're well. John, Moyes went full Glaswegian on the ref at half time. I bet he did. I bet there were a few swear words in there. Trini, a ref found guilty for match fixing should not be allowed to ref a professional game. You know, that should be struck off, full stop. No, you know, no second bloody chances. I mean, what's all that about? Let's scroll down. Dabs, if it was the other way round and Lyon player was fouled before we scored, the ref would have stopped the game. Exactly. He was corrupt. Look, they can't sue me because it's my opinion, but he was fucking corrupt. Jovi, please don't talk about Brentford for too long. I didn't. We were crap. We were. James, I'm surprised that Regs don't have a better company sponsor on their shirt. Refs, you mean? What did they? What was the sponsor? Did the ref have a sponsor on his shirt? He didn't, did he? What? Cheat. Anyway, let's move on. Pat, Fabianski beaten at the near post again for the first goal. I know. Trini, still don't get how we allowed Ericsson so much freedom. Easily, by far their best player. And doesn't it make it even worse when Moyes came out and said we were offered Ericsson in the window? Anyway, we didn't have any players that were any better than our own, did we? MJ, is it time to play Areola for Fabs more often? Must sign him up permanently for 30 mil, surely. I agree with you on that. I do, but I've been an Areola fan from the start of the season. Paul, it was all wrong. So much for fair play. So proud of our players. Absolutely agreed. James, will Fabianski be our number one next season? The stories are true about his contract. Look, I'm surprised because I thought West Ham has said already that they were going to extend his contract a few months ago. So I'm surprised it's still on the boil. But it depends on who we get as our other goalie. If it is Areola, I truly believe that Areola will become our number one and Fabianski will be the backup. Could be wrong though. Could be wrong. Jovi, I'd like to see a swap Benrahma for Tony. I mean, that rumour's gone around as well. Can you honestly see Brentford swapping Benrahma and Tony plus a little bit of cash on top? I don't think so. Good evening, Adam. How are you, mate? I hope you're well. Just got in. Excuse me, just got in. You didn't miss much, mate, but I'll do a roundup later on. Hammerette, I hope we sign Areola, he really needs to be number one. Agreed. Good evening to you, Neil. How are you? I hope you're well. Thank you for joining, mate. Dabs, you're not getting the notifications. Have you subscribed? I don't understand that. Are people getting the notifications? I'm worried that you're not. I'm going to have to look into why perhaps you're not. So thank you for finding it, Neil. Much appreciated. Dabs, did anyone see the picture of Zouma today? Yeah, talked about that a little bit earlier on. And I also said right at the start of the show, Dabs, Areola is definitely out. West Ham United have put a notification on their website to say he's out. I'm really, really shocked. Mandy, oh my God, can you imagine if we don't bring in a striker next season? I can imagine that. Anil, Lyon have to win as they have no chance of Europe next season. If they don't, we have to frustrate them like they frustrated us. Patience will win. I agree. John, do you think that the abuse Antonio has been getting on some social media is justified? I mean, we know he was poor against Brentford, but he is running on empty. He is running on empty. I don't like any of. I think if we can make considered comments about players, I think Antonio was poor at the weekend, but I think Antonio has been poor for quite a lot of this season, since more or less November. He just hasn't been at the races. But this is what you get when you don't have strength in depth, when you don't have another striker that you can put in to replace Antonio and give him the rest he needs. No, I don't agree with it. I think some of the abuse is way over the top. But criticism, yeah. But the criticism that goes too far on any player, I mean, I know I criticise Masuaku, and I do think he's rubbish. But I think I'm going to say this, but I think I'm justified in saying that because I've proven it with stats, etc. But when you start really hurling awful abuse at players, like I know you've said, John, that you've seen on social media, when it goes too far, it's a bit much. Carino, get a striker. We'll sign a box of bloody matches. If we're shopping them on the elite, we'll get a Ronson. I like that. Aaron, you're going to tell us why you left the network? I can't, mate. I'm trying to do a show. One day. But it's all good. Hammerette. John, I don't get some of our fans. That was a poor performance from all the team. Not one player. It's sad, really. Get behind all of the team. Good evening to you, Russell. Karma's a fucker. We'll nick it with a dubious decision. I hope so, mate. You know what? Out of all the things, I hope we get it with a really, really dubious decision on Thursday and rub it in them. Hammerette, Aaron, not sure still you want to share. Well, I'm sharing my show with you. I hope you're all enjoying it. Neil, you skipped around that question still. Why aren't you with the network anymore? Lads, I've got to do a show. Adam, sorry. Lyon were true scumbags. Never seen a team like it. Referee was a joke. How is he a ref anymore? Well, he should stop being a ref a long, long time ago. Good evening, Ian. Rumor that a few players in the dressing room after the Brentford game were very angry with each other. They were. They were frustrated with each other on the pitch as well, and rightly so. Hopefully, they've now addressed their differences on Thursday. I agree with that. I hope they have addressed their differences without a shadow of a doubt. MJ, hope so. Stelios Arioli was immense for Fulham. He was. And there's talk about Fulham, if they come back into the Premier League, they're going to want him back. I want to keep him. I think I like him. I like him. There was I don't know why. No notification bell. That's interesting. Well, you've got to do that. I haven't. um, I don't know. I'll look into the background and see why, because I've had a few problems when I started the channel. So I'll see if I can make sure that it's got the right thing. I'm not getting notification either. Okay, I'll see what I can do about that. Same here, no notification. Right, okay. I get my notifications on Facebook. Oh, right. That's a real worry. I'll see what I can do to fix that. Mandy, Moyes playing Antonio when he's out of form just makes it worse. It does. You know, we bought Vlasic, £27 million. Vlasic has always said, I prefer playing in the middle of the park. He can be a second striker as well. Now, I know Vlasic came on last 10 minutes, still no time to make a difference. I know Vlasic came on, but again, Bowen was put in the middle. Vlasic went out on the right. Put Vlasic in the middle and see what he can do. Let's scroll down. Facebook is the work of the devil. Adam, the ref was the worst. Was the worst. The other ref in our Europa game, you didn't really notice them. Sign of a good ref. I agree with that. Trini, Antonio is 32, played more games than usual, but it's Moyes' lack of depth and flogging him that is running on empty. You're absolutely right. Hammerette, trying to cut my Facebook time down. I'm going to have to find out how you guys are going to be able to get my notifications. So I apologise for that. Garino, Dembele own goal and all the West Ham players give him a wink at full time. I love that. Antonio hasn't been the same since he signed his lucrative put your feet up contract. You know what? That is a good point. That is a good point. I'm not saying he's not trying. I think he does try, but he just, the frustration on Sunday when he had the ball at his feet, dithered, had it taken off him, and they went and scored a goal. Dabs, 1-1 in extra time. Last kick of the game, we get a penalty, and Masuaku takes it. Mate, I'll run on the pitch and kiss the guy. Ben, this game is our biggest game in 30 years, plus years. I hope we turn up. Thank you for joining the channel, Ben. Much appreciated, and I agree with you. I hope we do. Let's scroll down. Luke Legend, good evening to you. I hope you're well, mate. Thank you for joining. Tony, the Brentford game was just a warm down training game. MJ, if people hit the bell icon as well as subscribe. Exactly, MJ. Otherwise, how can you get notified? Anil, massive game for Areola. Imagine a clean sheet. Oh, wow. Hammerette, if it goes down to penalties with their backup keeper, then we stand a great chance. He's only played 4 times this season, so clearly isn't rated. Let's move on to the next part of the show, shall we? What are we going to do? Why have I got that there? And I've got that there. So let's do that. So, updates on the academy, the under-23s and the under-18s. I've been waxing lyrical about the under-23s and the under-18s ever since I started doing the West Ham Weekly. I love talking about them. I think we've got some fantastic young players in the squad, and they all let me down at the weekend. I couldn't believe it. I thought, here we go. The under-23s are going to win the under-23 league, and the under-18s are going to win the under-18 league, and we're all going to be flying high because we're going to finish in the top 6 and win the Europa League. What a weekend to forget. The under-18s and the under-23s suffered a rare double whammy at the weekend, with both teams losing their respective games. let's start with the under 23s first. Familiar lineup. We've become accustomed to some of these names now. Hegi in goal. He's a great Hungarian under 23s keeper. Ashby, Longello, Forsan, Alese, etc., etc. You know, Perkins, Socko Flex. You know, I keep waxing lyrical about these players, and then they let me down at the weekend, and they went to lose 2-0 to mid-table team Blackburn. I mean, come on, lads, for goodness sake. Blackburn are 10th in the league. You would have thought that they wouldn't have caused many issues for the West Ham under 23s who've been doing so well this season. They got defeated 2-0 and they started off poorly, and they just never really got at the races. Since that game, they've won two and hang on, let me just go back to my notes. Many issues. The last time that we lost the under 23s was 2-0 defeat back in February to Man City. And since that game, West Ham under 23s have won 2 and drawn 1 game, which saw them go to within 6 points of league leaders Man City with 2 games in hand. So if we'd beaten mid-table Blackburn, we would have been right behind Man City, 1 game in hand with just 3 points away. And we fluffed it, but never mind. Wasn't to be. That was on Friday afternoon. We went a goal down within 4 minutes of the game starting. Which was scored from a corner. And from there on, the first half went Blackburn's way. They had the best of the first half. We picked up the pace in the second half and had some really decent chances, but just couldn't put them away. And we were definitely the better team in the second half, and we deserved something. But as usual, when you're chasing a game in the dying minutes, Blackburn got their second goal. Harsh on the young lads, but you know, you got to put your chances away when you can and win those games. However, the under 23s didn't have long to put things right. And they had a great chance of putting that league defeat behind them on Monday, yesterday, when they played Leeds United in the Premier League Cup competition. Very, very different set of affairs. Only one change to the side where Levi Lang dropped to the subs bench and Will Greenidge came in defence alongside Alese. But otherwise, it was the same team that lost 2-0 to Blackburn at the weekend. Very different game. We looked very sharp from the start of the game. Several efforts from Socko Flex and Alese in the first few minutes. However, it was the away side who got off the mark on 16 minutes and with a counter attack and went 1-0 up. However, that lead was short lived with Socko Flex getting the goal back, bringing us back level. And on 37 minutes, after some great work from the attacking players, Dan Chesters curled in our second from close range. And then we went 3-1 up because Socko Flex grabbed our third from the penalty spot, where right back Harrison Ashby was fouled in the penalty area after a good attacking run. Socko Flex slotted the ball in from the penalty spot. On the 81st minute, Ashby again was brought down in the area, but this time Sonny Perkins stepped up to score from the spot. I would have given Socko Flex his hat-trick, but never mind. Things were wrapped up a minute later when left-back Manuel Longello, who's been out for quite some time because of injury. I think it was only his third game since January, came in, scored a fantastic goal to make it 5-1. We're now through to the last 8 of the Premier League Cup for the under 23s, and we face Fulham at home on Friday, the 22nd of April, with a 7 p.m. kickoff. I quite fancy going down to see that. So I'm looking on the West Ham on the West Ham official channel to see if they're actually selling tickets for that, because I think they deserve to be applauded and deserve to be supported as well. I hope they do. I hope there are tickets available. Let's move on to the under 18s. What game that was at the weekend. It was their first against, of all fucking teams, it was their first defeat since September last year. And guess who beat them in September last year? Spurs. The under 18s, I mean, look, it was a strange game. We were 2-0 up just after 11 minutes. George Earthy grabbing the first of the game, and then 5 minutes later, Callum Marshall following up with our second. And then just before half-time, we conceded a goal A penalty to Spurs. They got back in it. Then on the 63rd minute, Spurs were level, which saw them take more control of the game. It was 2-2. They grabbed their third and their fourth on the 76th and 82nd minute, respectively. And then David Mbama grabbed a consolation penalty on the 86th minute, but then in the dying seconds, they went 5-3 up. Real topsy-turvy, most entertaining game without a shadow of a doubt. But what a shame to lose your winning streak, your non-losing streak for so long. I mean, credit to the under-18s for not having got beaten since September of last year. Absolutely fantastic. Next game is in 2 weeks' time on Saturday at home to Chelsea. Now, last week I talked about the women's team and how there's internationals going on at the moment in women's football. And I stupidly put up the wrong slide, didn't I? When I said, look, the women's team are in the semi-finals of the Women's FA Cup, the Vitality FA Cup. It's on Saturday, the 16th of April. Kick-off at 12:15 at Chigwell Construction Stadium. You can buy tickets for adults at £8, juniors at £2. Another thing that deservedly they should we should support. Unfortunately, I'll only just be back from Lyon, so I can't go. Otherwise, the missus will decide to just abandon me for good. But do support them if you're anywhere near the area. Go down to Chigwell. You can buy tickets on the gate as well to support them, and I think that's a very, very worthy look. We're doing really well. The under-18s, the under-23, the women's team are still picking up the pace a little bit. Being in the semi-finals of the FA Cup is fantastic, but we're doing really well, and these young lads should be supported. Absolutely. Right. What chat have we got before we move on? Let's scroll down. Luke, I reckon both teams will be more nervous than two virgins. I'm surprised I even read that. James, any chance the car out of Antonio can play on Thursday? Graham, good evening to you, mate. Glad I found you still. You talk sense, not all the time. Thank you for finding me, Graham. I really, really appreciate that. Good evening, Alfie. How are you, mate? I hope you're well. Pat, I watched the under-23s against Leeds yesterday. They were awesome. They were superb. They got angry for losing against Blackburn. They absolutely ripped Leeds apart, I tell you. Luke, seriously happy. I expect them to be as nervous. So I think, Thursday, I'm coming up to that. I think Thursday they will be nervous without a shadow of a doubt. Ian, Ashby needs to be on our subs bench. He's getting there. I know apparently Moyes thinks highly of him. He thinks highly of a lot of under 23s. And I was asked the question, is there any point in the under 23s playing and doing so well when Moyes ignores them? I don't get it, but I'll talk a little bit about that in a short while. Let's scroll down. Garino, Longello, Forsan played as a central defensive midfielder. Perkins, Flex all stood out against Leeds. They sure did. 5-1. Yeah, fantastic result. Pat, Flex gave up a hat trick against Leeds by giving Perkins. Oh, I didn't realise that. I didn't realise he allowed Perkins to score a goal. But Perkins did really, really well. Perkins played exceptionally well, apparently. James, I only saw snippets, so I didn't see the whole game. The under-23 situation and Moyes not playing them at all is it's starting to piss me off. What is this doing and saying about the academy? I know, mate. I kind of get you, and it is a little bit weird. I do find that frustrating with Moyes because he likes the under 23s. He keeps a close eye on them. So I would have thought by now they would have got a bit more game time, especially when we had a lot of injuries as well. Luke, Moyes plays percentages. He won't play any of these lads. There you go. There's one of your answers. I agree, James. However, if we played them and lost, he will be to blame for that as well. That's also a good point, but there's no harm in giving a player a little bit more than just 5 minutes at the end of a game. In the quarterfinals now, absolutely. Daniela, Patman, it's time to bring some of them into the first team. I think that time has come and gone. Unfortunately, I really, really do. I think Moyes had the opportunity when we had quite a lot of injuries and he didn't take it. Adam, I'd be disappointed if we sell Longello in the summer. He will make it, just needs to be given a chance. If anything, needs to go out on loan to Forest for a season. I absolutely agree with that. I absolutely do. WHU, good evening to you, mate. The direct email notifications are running late for some reason. Running late? Wow, there you go. There's your answer, people. I knew you were on because your YouTube notification. I don't understand that. I don't understand why it's running late. I'm going to have to look into it. I'm going to have to write to YouTube. I don't know if they ever reply or anything. James, hammer it. I agree, but we have to take chances. Man City, Liverpool, all use their academy. I agree with that as well. Victor, Moyes sees the under 23s every day in training. They join in with the first team, so maybe he sees things we don't. That is also a very, very good point. It's also a very good point. But and I know the under 23s is not at the same level as senior team. I know that. I get that. I understand that. But if you don't give I think Moyes had great opportunities to play these players a little bit more. And I know he put in an under 23 side in the last game against Zagreb, etc. And they came out, so much praise for them, etc. And I thought at that point that they would. Moyes would utilise them more, and I know he's given one or two. He's given one or two players a little bit of an insight into Premier League football and cup football, etc. But I thought they were going to be used more than they have been. Luke, Moyes has taken this squad to the quarterfinals of Europa and top six. Why bring in youngsters now? I think the youngsters should have been brought in earlier, to be quite honest with you. Now, at the real business end of the season, I think the opportunity has gone. I kind of agree with this as well. I get frustrated, like James is frustrated and not using the under 23s, but I think the time has come and gone. I don't think he's going to do it now. I agree with you on that respect. Mandy, the under 23 games are slightly slower. They are. I know that, and I'm not suggesting that you put in half a dozen under 23s in the first teams from the off. But Okoflex, apparently we had offers for Okoflex to go out on loan in the January transfer window, and they were all turned down by Championship teams, by Scottish Premier League teams, etc. And they were all turned down. When I heard that, I thought Okoflex is going to get a shout in the first team. He hasn't even come off the bench. Let's scroll down. Anil, do forgive me. I know I can't read every. I'd love to read every comment, but I can't. So do forgive me if I skip one or two. Anil, Moyes is looking for exceptional man boy type like Rooney. Maybe only Sonny Perkins is close. I actually don't think it is Sonny Perkins that's close. I think Okoflex is more advanced than him, to be quite honest with you, which is why I'm surprised that he hasn't got any game time. Showing off that I'm going to Lyon, I'm not really. Luke, it is a massive step up, but then if you don't give those players that opportunity, how do you know if they're going to be able to take that step up or not? Pat, Saturday, 16th of April is when my Spotify subscription starts. How random, Pat. Adam, if the youth don't get into the first team, they need to go to the championship teams to get the experience they need. Yeah, I agree with that as well. Happy Hammer, good evening to you, everyone. Talk about Chelsea Academy, and they're sitting second from bottom while we're second. Just goes to show the talent we have in that squad. Now, I agree with that, but the one thing that with the Chelsea Academy is, they're better under 23s or all out on loan. Which is probably why they're second from bottom. But I think some of these players do need to have some game time, and they do need to go out on loan. Look, let's go to the slide. Oh, not that one. Is it that one? Oh, I've forgotten which one I'm on. 4-2, 4-1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. Let's go to the appropriate slide so we can talk about them. Have I got it, or have I not uploaded it? It looks like I haven't uploaded it. Never mind. Look, the average age of the under 23 squad at the moment is 19 years of age. Heggie 21, Kinnear 21, Ashby's 20, Longello's 21, Lang. Actually, the oldest player in the under 23 squad is Connor Coventry, who's currently out on loan. All the others are either 18, 19, 20, 21, etc. Alese is only 21 years old. So I think it's time for a lot of these players. I kind of agree with you. I think it's time a lot of these youngsters should go out on loan. I wouldn't mind if at least half a dozen of these players go out on loan next season to get that game time in order for them to be ready for the season after. I think Connor Coventry is the closest that we've got to breaking into the senior squad at the moment next season. I would like to think Odubeko at the age of I would like to think Okoflex at the age of 19 also might get a bit of game time in the senior. Sorry, is 20, might get a bit of game time. Perkins is 18, but I think people are right. I think maybe they should go out on loan into championship teams or even League Division 1 and get some game time and show what they can do. Connor Coventry, out on loan at MK Dons has done him the world of good. I think he's got the best, he's the best player for passing or something like that in that league in this half of the season, which shows how much they've how much he's come along. And I'm really hoping that Coventry is actually going to break through next season. But like I said, Ashby, Longello, Baptiste, they're all young enough to go out on loan and then come back and smash it for the senior team. And I think we should do that. I absolutely do. I hope we do, but let's see what happens. And talking of players out on loan, Joseph Anang continues to be in decent form for St Patrick's Athletic. 5th clean sheet in 9 appearances for the club this season. Right, it's the Irish League, I know, but you play where you play, and keeping clean sheets is important to a keeper. Mipo Rebecco was finally in a winning team for Doncaster Rovers. He came on as second half sub, and they beat Crew 2-0. He's still looking for his first goal of this for them, but it'll come. I like Odebeko. He's only 19 years of age. Let's not forget. Connor Coventry, as I've just mentioned, played the full 90 minutes for MK Dons at the weekend. And he really has benefited for playing for MK Dons. He's been fantastic for them, and long may it rain. And I hope Connor Coventry does come back next season and stakes a claim in the West Ham squad because Mark Noble is going to be retiring. We need someone to replace him. Why not Connor Coventry? I think he's a very, very decent player indeed. And then Nathan Holland was also in action at the weekend in the starting lineup for Oxford United, but they were defeated 2-1 by title challenging Sunderland. So great but of those 4 players that we got out on loan, Anang, I don't know. He's got a year left at the end of this season on his contract. Onabeko, he's got a couple of seasons left. But I think, he's still 19. I think he'll come good. I really do. Connor Coventry is the one that I think will break through. And Nathan Holland, at the end of this season, his contract expires. And I don't think he'll make it, to be quite honest with you. But we've got a lot of fantastic players in that squad, and I hope more of them break through eventually. Ben, I think next season we'll see some academy players come through. It'll save us a few quid with our transfer budget. Maybe two. I'm hoping it's Coventry, and I'm also hoping it's Okoflex. And like I've just said, maybe some of the others go out on loan and get some game time. What have we got here? Hammer it. Put your notifications on all and not personalized. Thank you for that. Didn't know that. Rhonda and Tony, good evening to you. Morning to you. I read that they've changed the ref for the second leg. Same guy that did the first game. Yes, mate. Talked about that. Thank goodness it's not Zwayer. Otherwise, we know that we'll get cheated out of the second leg. Right to YouTube. They're bound to listen. Let's see. Jason Mortimer, good evening to you, mate. If this game was in September, October time, I fancy us big time, but we look burnt out. Let's hope for a big performance. I think they'll raise their game, mate. I really do. I really, really do. Pat, I've done news from certain other channels. I've subbed to this one. Thank you, mate. I really appreciate that. Mandy, I guess if we're mid-table in Europe, you will see more of them under 23s. That's a really, really good point. Yeah, you may be right there. Trini, not sure why everyone is so scared of giving youth a real opportunity. Even the greatest seasoned veteran started off as a youth player. I agree with that. Look, and I'm with you on this, Trini. I think now it's too late in the season. What was said earlier, if we were mid-table or if it was earlier in the season, maybe we would have seen a few more youth players being used. But I think now it's the wrong time of the season. I know that sounds weird, but it is. Tyler, good evening to you. Everyone's sleeping on Chester's. He's underrated. I rate him, and I know Moyes does, and I know he's been given a little bit of game time. He's the new Joe Cole. Rhonda and Tony again. Moyes has some kids on the bench against teams at the bottom of the league, but we never put teams away, so he does not put them on. Good point. I know Adam Moyes can't play in Europe. He can't, but he can play in the Premier League. And I know he's ineligible for Europe because of when we signed him. But I thought Okaflex would get a bit of game time in the Premier League, and I'm surprised that he hasn't. Hammerette, under 23s have some really big games. I think that's contributing towards us not calling them to. Yeah, they have, and it's great. But as people as James has asked, what's the point of doing so well if they're not going to get given their opportunity in the seniors? And it's a real balance, isn't it? They're doing so well, and yet, Anil, WHU on the Nyimny situation. If Oko Flex, he's not allowed. Yeah, we know that. We know he's not allowed in the Europa League. But Oko Flex is eligible for the Premier League. Mandy, if Moyes was never going to play Kral, then Coventry should have stayed. 100% agree with you on that one as well. 100% agree. Daniela, England women go 2-0 up versus Northern Ireland. Fantastic. Well done to them. Jonathan, if you're good enough, you're old enough, look at Jude Bellingham for Dortmund and Mbappe, etc. That's a good point as well. Let's see a big debate. Some people think, one way, some people think the other. James, big gap between Division and it is. I do agree with you, but I think he's doing the business. I don't think he will be sold. I actually think he'll stay. I may be wrong, but I think he'll stay. Let's scroll down. Tyler, Chelsea 3-3. Oh, well, I hope they go out. Tony, look what Cullen is doing with... hang on. Now, here's the thing I've got a bit of an issue with. Yes, Cullen is doing really well. In where's he playing? In the Austrian league, isn't it? I think. Or the Dutch league. I can't remember. Cullen is doing well. But here's the irony. Yeah, I say... Haller's doing really well in the Dutch league, and everyone turns around and said, that's because it's a shit league, and he wasn't doing it in the Premier League. Now, you can't then turn around and say Cullen's doing well in a league that's a lesser league than the Premier League, and then getting back. Can't work, it's got to work for all players. If all players are doing really well in a foreign league, then fair play. You can say that. But so I've got this issue with Cullen, and I always compare it to Haller. Everyone says Haller didn't do well in the Premier League. Oh, yeah, of course he's doing well in the Dutch league because it's not as good as the Premier League. So doesn't the same thing apply for Cullen? The league he's playing in is not as good as the Premier League. So would he do well in the Premier League? That was a long-winded thing for me to say, wasn't it? There is 4 million difference in if we finish 6th rather than 7th. We must keep pushing on. I think we'll finish in the top 6. I really do. I really do. Hammer it. Will we show them how the beautiful game is meant to be played with a half-decent ref? We will. And we'll win on Thursday night. And I'm coming to that as the last part of the show to talk about the game coming up on Thursday. Hammerette, Big Doors has to be in contention for Ham of the Year. A lot of people have been saying it. The way he jumped into those challenges at the end of the game last Thursday, I thought he was going to break one of their legs. If there's a reason to go down, it's just because you've been challenged by Craig Dawson, not just because you've been hit by a fucking feather. Dabs, I think Longelo's the oldest player on our keys. Not. There's quite a few under players who are 21 in the under 21s at the moment. Let me go through it. Heggie 21, Kinnear 21, Longelo 21, Alese, yeah. So Okoflex, Nevers, Forsan, Equa, Chester's all 20 years of age. And then we've got a smattering of 19-year-olds in the under 23s. Lang, Zwayer, Odebeko, I know he's out on loan. Perkins is the youngest. And a lot of these players, Baptiste is only 18 as well. A lot of these players started playing for the under 23s when they were 15, 16 years of age. So, God, it's about time, isn't it? Got a bit of time to break them through. Let's scroll down. Neil, Rice, Hammer of the Year. He dragged us through the whole season. Ian, Josh Cullen may return from Mandel, but he won't return. He won't. I'm sorry, but I don't think he will. Good evening to you, GP. Still hot tummer Hammer of the Julie, how are you? Hey, I hope you're well, Julie. Thank you for joining as well. Charles Scum pulling it level. Good evening to you, Mad Titan Paresh. Thursday's game is perfectly balanced, as all things should be. Absolutely agree. Let's scroll down. GP Lanzini, Stuntman of the Year. The car rolled over more than... And on that, let's go into the last part of the show, shall we? it's been talked about earlier on in the chat. As we all are finding out this week, many West Ham fans have managed to buy tickets in the home end of Lyon's Groupama Stadium, and now they're receiving emails saying that unfortunately that those tickets are not going to be allocated to them. Look, here's the problem I have. Look, I know it's a big issue for a lot of fans because they bought tickets on good faith, and now they're going to lose out. You know, if they travel over there, they won't be able to get into the game, or if they don't travel, they lose their money on transportation, and accommodation, and all that sort of stuff. I know that. I know that. And here's the dilemma I have, because it was made quite clear to fans not to buy tickets in the home end. You know, it was strange because a lot of fans got in the home end in at Seville, but Seville's a very, very different kettle of fish to Lyon. It's not going to be a happy atmosphere as it was in Seville out there. It's going to be very, very hostile. It's going to be very hostile, not only in the stadium, but it's going to be very hostile outside of it as well. And for the fans that have managed, that will get their tickets, away fans in the home end, you know, don't wear colours. Don't shout. Don't support the team in any way. And I know that sounds really strange, but don't make it obvious that you're a West Ham fan in the away end, in the home end, because I worry. I worry about going out with all the West Ham fans and being in the away end, and getting there and getting back, etc. Because the Lyon fans are hostile. They're very, very hostile. So that's the dilemma I have. Fans were told don't buy tickets in the home end, but fans have gone and done that. And all due respect to them, everyone wants to go to the game, and if you can't get an away ticket, an away end ticket, I totally understand why fans wanted to go. It's such a crucial game. I totally get that, but it's a concern. And now fans are being told, when it's established that they are West Ham fans, they're being told that their tickets won't be they won't be allowed to get into the game. Right, so let's move on, because Lyon played at the weekend, and they had a match at the weekend against Strasbourg on Sunday evening, which ended 1-1. They're not doing well in the French league whatsoever. They're in great danger, as again has been alluded to in the chat. They're in great danger of missing out on Europe altogether next season through their league position. With 7 games left in the French league, there's still going to be mathematically possible that currently 10th place Lyon can get into a European spot, but they've got it all to do. They've got to win all their games, and they've got to hope for teams above them to start losing games. So for them, the Europa League is probably their main chance of qualifying for Europe next season. They made a number of changes to their starting lineup against Strasbourg, against us that played. You know, a number of changes in the team, and apart from their keeper, their whole back line was changed. And also, let's put this slide up. Oh, wrong one. Oh, sorry, I forgot to say, Akambi scored their equaliser for Lyon. But they picked up, although they made a number of changes, they picked up a number of injuries. Lopez, their goalkeeper, was replaced by backup keeper. I think Hamret said he's only played about 4 times this season. They were replaced on the half-hour mark, and it doesn't look like he's going to make it for the game against West Ham on Thursday night. They lost a number of other players. Awire, Iwer. Oh, someone mentioned it how I pronounce it earlier on, and I've forgotten it already. Hussein Awar also came off. God, how many times I'm going to say that wrong? Also came off injured to be replaced by Roman Fevre, but they both started against West Ham last Thursday. But it's possible that Iwer isn't going to make it. Goal scorer against us last week, Tanguy Ndombele, was also taken off late in the game because of an injury, and it looks like he will be out for the game as well. And they've also got quite a number of players missing before all this. Thiago Mendes, who played against us last week, didn't play at the weekend. He picked up an injury last week, and he could be missing as well. There's midfielders Ryan Cherky and defender Sinalai Diamande, who's been out long-term injured. Maxence Kakere, their captain, is also not their captain, their talisman is also out injured, and he could be missing as well. So they've got a number of players injured. But of course, we know we've got our injury problems as well. With Kurt Zouma, it's been confirmed that he's definitely out for the game. Um, so we've got to worry about our injuries. We've got a suspension in Creswell as well. We're going to be disrupted at the back. So what is David Moyes going to do? It's going to be interesting. Frankly, I don't care that Lyon have got so many players out injured. I hope they pick up more injuries in training between now and the game. We just got to worry about our injuries. And I think what Moyes is going to do is going to be this. I think it's obvious that Areola will start. I can't see any other way of that changing. I think Soufal will start on the right. I think Dawson and Diop obviously play as centre backs, and I think Johnson will start on the left. Now I know people will speculate in that maybe we'll play three at the back, with wing backs, etc. I don't know if Moyes will risk it, and I also think that every time we've played that system, especially in the Premier League, we've lost the game. We're not suited to it, and now and if you did that, you're going to have to lose a player somewhere, and who would you drop out? Because it will mean that it could be Masuaku and it could be Fredericks as the wing backs, with three centre backs, Dawson, Diop, and Soufal or Johnson. So it means that you might have to lose one of those players in order to accommodate. But then you got to drop another player to accommodate the wing back system as well. Who do you drop? Fornals? Who do you drop? Bowen, Lanzini, etc. Now I know Fornals played as a wing back. I can't remember which game it was, and that kind of did work to a point. So maybe with that lineup as it is there, you could maybe put Fornals as a left wing back and then Soufal as a right-ish wing back. You could possibly do that, and that might be an option. And that means you play Johnson. You put Dawson in the middle. You put Johnson as a right centre back. You put Diop as a left centre back, and having Fornals to support him may work. But I'm not so sure. Again, it's a gamble. It's another gamble because Fornals playing as left wing back was suited because he had Creswell there. If I'm not mistaken, so it kind of like he had a bit of strength in depth there, or Zouma was there, and without Zouma, I think this is going to be the lineup. I think this is going to be the formation. You start messing around with wing backs now and trying to fit in maybe Fornals to play as wing back, or Masuaku to play as wing back, or Fredericks to play as wing back. I think it's such a crucial game. I think you might be asking for trouble. Look, we know Johnson can play left back. We know he does really, really well there. Soufal, I hope he's brushed off his cobwebs and will have a great game back at right back. Diop, Diop and Dawson didn't communicate very well in the game against Brentford at the weekend. It wasn't fantastic, and but we've got no choice. It's going to be Diop and Dawson. I just hope there's a lot more talking between them and no bickering. Moyes is definitely going to tell Soucek and Declan to sit back. We know that, and maybe. Has been suggested as well. Declan might almost become the third centre back when we're under attack, and spread the game, spread those players out. Soufal going further out to the right, Johnson going further out to the left, and then Declan sitting in between Diop and Dawson. That may also happen as well. Um, we're going to have to absorb a lot of pressure. Well, the difference is we won't be playing 10 men for half a game. We'll have 11. But we're going to have to absorb a lot of pressure. Who starts up front? I think it will be as you see there. I think he's going to expect Lanzini because he's going to expect Declan to drop further back. I think Lanzini will almost be alongside Soucek and try and control the game. And then you're going to have Fornals and Bowen to support Antonio up front. I think that's how he's going to play it. I think it won't be five at the back, but I think it will be a four at the back. I think Declan's going to be asked to drop a little bit deeper when we're under attack and almost look as if we've got a back five, which will spread Johnson and Soufal a bit further out to address the wing play that they might have. And with that, if Declan has to drop a little bit further back, then Lanzini will drop alongside Soucek in order to support Soucek. That's how I think we're going to line up. We've got options. Look, we've got Vlasic, we've got Ben Rama, Yarmolenko. We know Kral probably ain't going to start. We know we've got Noble as well. The defensive side, Fabianski in goal, Fredericks, Masuaku, and Alese. How many have I got there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Alese might miss out because we can only have 7 subs anyway. Oh no, did we have 9 and then 5? Yeah, 9 subs and then 5 that we can use. But of those subs, I mean, unless we get an injury, I can't see him changing it much. If we're chasing the game, I can see maybe Vlasic, Benrahma, and Yarmolenko coming on. But otherwise, that's my lineup. And I wonder what you guys think. Look, that team there, I think, will win us the game. I genuinely do. I think we'll win the game even with that lineup. Let's hope that we've forgotten about Brentford and go out there and give it our all, because we get to the semi-final. You can smell the final. You could smell the final, and I think we will. I think we will get there. Let's see what comments you have as part of that. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. Belgium League. Thank you. It wasn't the Dutch League or whatever else. Cullen plays in the Belgian League. Thank you for that. Hammerette. Lanzini penalty in the first half will get us off to a great start. Maybe. Thursday's game is perfectly balanced. Hammerette. Bowen has been amazing, but he's been out with an injury, so I'm not sure he'll get it. I think Bowen will start, and I think he'll come good as well on Thursday night. Pat, we need some big performances. Anytime I've looked for a reason to go down, I've never used Dawson as an excuse. Adam, Bowen has been the most important player, so should get hammered. Yeah, well, they've all been important. Why isn't Areola available for Thursday? He is. Who says he's not? And I got him in my lineup. Has something happened that apparently he's not available? I've got him in my lineup. He's definitely playing. I'd be very surprised if he's out injured or anything like that. I really hope not. Zouma isn't a Creswell, but Areola. Zouma or Creswell? Yeah, Zouma and Creswell aren't available, but I'm sure Areola is. Dabs, don't frighten me, mate. I'm sure Areola is definitely available. Pat, too much trouble in France. Should not go with no tickets or tickets in the home end. It's what I'm thinking. I worry about fans that haven't got tickets. It's not going to be a welcoming environment as it was in Seville. Hammerette, my bad. I thought it was Areola, but it was. Oh, thank God for that, Dabs. You just put the shits up me, mate. Ben, play Johnson on the left with Soufal on the right. Yep, said that. You made us all bloody panic, mate. Because I've got to like come back to the chat, and then when I saw that, I was like, oh my God. If Johnson's like, well, he played half a game against. He played half a game last week. I think he'll be okay, and I think he was rested as well. Lyon fans sound like they've been recruited by Putin. Yeah. Let's scroll down. GP just eat a lot of garlic around Lyon supporters. Vinay, Lyon are supposed to be inconsistent. Losing their keeper could be crucial. I think they've got an injury, much worse injury crisis than we have, and that is going to disrupt them immensely. Now, look, they've got a deeper squad than we have. There's no denying that. They've got a deeper squad than we have, but I think they're the chopping and changing. And losing all these players on injury, etc., I think is going to damage them. I think. Hammerette, instead of being in the ground, they will now be around the centre and taking over the pubs. Surely that's harder to control. It is, Hammerette. It is, and I know everyone gets excited, and like there was talk about there being up to 10,000 fans in Seville. I think it was much less than that. I think it was about 5,000 or 6,000. But there was Seville was a totally different scenario. We know how dangerous Lyon fans can be. James must be mad to get a ticket for Lyon end. See, everyone's got opinions as well, and I don't want to. I don't want to put down the fans that have got tickets in the home end. Fair play to you, because it's an important game. We all want to go to it. I totally get that, but it is a bit of a concern. That's all. Pat, it is. I agree, but we know what is going to happen. It's going to happen outside the stadium as well as inside. Hammerette, agree, Vinay. Their backup goalie only costs 500,000. Can't be great, surely. Let's hope he has an absolute mare. Hang on a minute. I thought it was 3-3, and now you're Victor saying 3-0. What's the score? Paul, their fans are targeting pubs tomorrow night. There you go. Jonathan, whoever plays needs to go in them. into them and rough them up. They will stand off, but their 18-year-old is the one to watch. Watch out for with his pace. Is that the left winger? I can't remember his name. I think it is, isn't it? Dabs. Lyon have a crap backup keeper, or will just start players who can shoot from distance and put their keeper under pressure. Daniela, sorry, some football fans need to listen and use some common sense. Buying tickets in the homestand in some grounds isn't the smartest move. Yeah. Hammerette, he will be a huge miss for them. £50 million midfielder. Who's their £50 million? I've mentioned so many players. I don't know which one that is. GP. It's sad how we should be. It's sad how what should be our greatest game for the last 40 years is going to be ruined by hooligans. I'm worried about that. I am worried about that. To be honest, especially if Lyon are losing or lose the game. Dabs, Fornals can play wing back and he's really good there. He can, but I'm not so sure we're going to adopt that system, to be honest with you. Jonathan is off ball and back. Not for this game, mate, I'm afraid. Howard, how are you? Stelios regarding Leon. Yeah, absolutely. GP, play three at the back if it means Massa. Shudder. I really shudder when anyone suggests anything like that. James, I definitely play Fornals as a right wing back. Then we've got a problem on the left side because Fornals will play on the left. Oh, you've corrected yourself, left wing back. Hammerette, Diop needs to have a great game. Could be the decider on if he goes in the window. I don't think he will be sold, to be quite honest with you. Kev, WHU, good evening to you. Make sure everyone wears their Agincourt shirts to the game. The French love being reminded about the English days at Cressy, Poitiers, and of course, Agincourt. James, I think we will come good on Thursday. Antonio shooting boots and a goal from Dawson would be nice. Daniela, the women's team are 4-0 up. Fantastic. GP, maybe we should play Rice as centre back, Kral with Suchek. Yeah, I've mentioned that already. I don't think Kroll will start in this game, to be quite honest with you. But I think when we're defending, I think Declan will sort of slot in and play alongside the two centre backs. I would like to see a 3-5-2. Some help for Antonio, an extra body in midfield, fresh legs if needed. But it wouldn't be a 3-5-2, will it? It would be a 5-3-2, which or it'd be a 5-4-1. More like, to be quite honest with you. Dabs, I would drop Suchek for Noble or Kral. Not for this game. I'm not impressed with Suchek recently. He's been one of those players that just isn't there and doesn't offer much. I get what you're saying, but I think it's too important a game now. I think it'll be too quick a game for Noble. Kral, I thought, Kral will be one of our main players, given that we didn't let him go back to Spartak even before the war, Spartak Moscow in the January window. Anil, I agree with Stel. This is the lineup barring injuries. Yeah, I think that's what it's going to be. GP, that won't work. Suchek and Kral are too similar. Ian, Lyon's visit to Paris was abandoned, yes, due to crowd trouble. Lyon fans threw flares and invaded the pitch. Enter their end at your peril. Yeah, and I talked about that. I think it was in last week or the weeks before show about Lyon and about their fans, etc. And they're not a pleasant bunch of people, to be quite honest with you. Neil, I think Diop is okay as a left-sided centre-back in a back three, but I don't think we'll start with a back three. I don't know. Let's see. James, how many candidates if WD-40 would Kral need Hammerette? Dabs, are any Lyon players suspended for Thursday? Do you know what? I don't think any are. They've got more injuries than they've got suspensions. No, I don't think they've got any suspended players, but they've got a hell of a lot of injuries. Um, Pat, not supposed to. Sorry about that. Stuart, mate, how are you? Thank you for joining. I hope you're well. Thank you for joining. Let's scroll down. Rhonda and Tony. So looking forward to the game. Can't believe West Ham are at this stage after just 2 moist seasons. I know. Trini, if Ayo and Ndombele are not playing, they were their most effective players in the last game. Absolutely. They're going to be a massive miss. None of these players that got injured at the weekend for Lyon were training on Monday. Whether they're back or not today and tomorrow, I don't know. But they certainly weren't training on Monday. And maybe you could say, yeah, they got injured, so they wouldn't train. Yeah, I agree. If they're out, then they could be in trouble. Timo Werner, if he's available in the summer, should pay to get him. I'm in two minds about Werner. Now, who told me that Chelsea were 3-3-3? Now you're telling me they're 3-0, 8 Barley. Hammerette Ronda, can you imagine if Moyes had stayed last time? How far we could now be? Daniela, Chelsea just gone 4-3. What's going? Oh, it's on aggregate. Right. I got you. That's why I was confused. They're winning. Good luck to them. They're doing well. Chris, maybe a back five. Soufal, Fornals, wing backs. Soufal, Fornals. Could be Johnson, Diop, and Dawson. Yeah, I said that. Johnson played centre back at Spurs, and also he played centre back for England as well. It's possible. It's possible. I don't know. I don't know. We'll find out on Thursday. Um, Trini, three little words for Lyon FC, ICF. Howard, Rice, centre back, Noble, Soucek in front of him, and Dawson, we are massive. I don't think Noble will start. I really don't. And I don't think Rice will start at centre back either. Good evening, Chris. I hope you're well, mate. Thank you for joining. I've got to get something sorted out with the notifications because clearly, sorry for you guys coming on so late. Clearly, something going on with the notifications. Daniela, come on, let's not get a European ban to fan trouble. Ironically, if there is fan trouble, I don't think it will be put on West Ham. I really don't. I think this will be on Lyon, to be honest with you. Dabs, Boateng and Kakare are both on 5 yellows. 5 yellows? Surely they must have got a ban already. Declan's on 3. Apparently, and here's another confusing thing. Now, I was asked last week in the first leg, if Declan gets a yellow card, will he miss the second leg? And I said yes. And then I was asked, well, if Declan gets a yellow in the second leg, will he miss the semi-finals? And I said no, because and I read it last night when I was researching for the show that all cards get wiped off after the quarterfinals, which means you start on a clean slate in the semi-finals. Now, apparently, the UEFA website is saying that Declan is in danger of missing the first leg of the semi-final if we get through because he's on a yellow card. And he's on 3 yellows. So I'm really, really confused. And I'm worried now because and it's really weird because it's on their website. It's on the UEFA website that I read last night, and then someone showed me a link to the UEFA website today. It was the match briefing, and on there it's got Declan will miss the next match if he gets a yellow card. I'm really, really shocked. Um, so these guys must have already. Kakare's injured anyway. Boateng, he's not that good anyway. Victor, are Lyon injuries smoke and mirrors? Well, we don't know that, do we? We don't know. All I know is that 3 of their 5 substitutes against Strasbourg at the weekend was because of injuries. Whether those injuries are bad enough for them to miss the game on Thursday, I don't know. There are some players that got long-term injuries. They've got something like, including these players, they've got something like 9 players who have gone out injured or who are injured. So how many of them will come back? There's at least 4 of them that have got long-term injuries, so they won't be back. So there's 3, 4, 5 players that could come back. Lopez in goal could come back. Ndombele could come back. But at this moment in time, they're being reported as being injured. Hammerette, the atmosphere is going to be amazing out there when we win. It sure is. And Rhonda and Tony agree. Hammerette there, goalkeeper was helped off by 2. So that looks serious. Yeah, agreed. Madrid goal. They've scored as well. Victor, what is the score now? Is it 4-4 now? Rice centre back, Lanzini in midfield with Soucek. Well, I think that's what will happen, Victor. Rice will drop in centre back when we're under attack. I think that's what will happen. He can. Trini, he can play centre back again. Hammerette, 4-4 on aggregate. Thank God away goals don't count anymore, eh? What else have we got? Kev, all cards gone. This is exactly all cards gone after the quarter final. So if Declan picks up a yellow card on Thursday night, he doesn't miss the semi-final. That's what I thought. Kev, I thought Rice couldn't play on Thursday because of too many cards. No, he can play on Thursday. He's got 3 yellows. 2 yellows, 3 yellows. He's got enough yellows to have missed. If he got another yellow last Thursday, he would have missed the game on Thursday. Chris, I'm surprised West Ham tweeted in Zouma injury. Well, I started the show by saying West Ham United have reported their official website that he's injured. I was shocked. at seeing that. Absolutely shocked. Anil, what a ball by Modric. If only I could watch it. Lee, good evening to you as well. I'm so nervous about West Ham on Thursday. Don't be nervous, mate. We're gonna do it. Lee, I'm the same. Come Thursday, I won't be able to eat from my nerves. Um, Peach, Rice basically plays as a centre half in and out of these matches, but he's so versatile. He can play as a box to box as well as a halfback. Halfback. Haven't heard that for a while. Peach, Trini. I think Zouma injury being confirmed is because the picture on him of the boot going around. So yeah, I saw that picture as well. Pat, I've got the Chelsea game on my other massive Apple screen because I'm GP, I'll take a semi-final. I think we all will, mate. Victor, don't forget the women's team talked about that. I'll tell you what, let me do a quick summary. Oh, no, before I do a quick summary, we've also got to talk about, of course, it's the birthday today of the late, great Sir, as it should have been, Sir Bobby Moore. It would have been his 81st birthday today. What a great player he was. I mean, the accolades, etc., that this guy's received, all deserved. But let's not forget, today is Sir Bobby Moore's 81st birthday. Right, let's go through and just do a quick summary of everything. So I talked about season ticket renewals. So if you're a season ticket holder, get on and renew your tickets. Talked about Kretinsky. I think this is a bit of a crap story because I don't think Kretinsky was ever in the mix for putting money in for transfers. So all this stuff about him being short of money, etc., I don't think it's going to affect our transfer budget. Talked about the West Stand. If you're affected by that, I would get onto the club and just get an understanding of where you're going to be seated and make sure you can try and at least be seated with your friends and your family that are around you in the West Stand. And all this talk about levelling it off. What a disappointment. That's not levelling off the West Stand. The fans are no closer to the stadium, to the pitch than they were. It's the yellow is the current stand and the dark grey behind it is the new stand. What they're doing is they're putting in more expensive seats, aren't they? And that is an absolute outcry and a real shame. Talked about the game last Thursday and the lineup and about this man. It was all about him. He must be Mike Dean's half brother, German half brother or something, and talked about how harsh the red card was and how apoplectic Moyes was with, and he had an awful game, and he is corrupt. Let's not deny it. And then we talked about the awful game that we played against Brentford on at the weekend. Several players looking rusty. We gave soft goals away as well. Uh, and then we moved on to the under 23s. Talked about the under 23 games against Blackburn, mid table Blackburn, where we lost 2-0. But then we put that right when we played Leeds in the Premier League Cup and we smashed them 5-1 on Monday. What a great game that was. Occo Flex grabbing a brace in that game. And then the under 18s, not being defeated since September. They faced Spurs at the weekend and they got beaten 5-3. And the last team to have beaten them was Spurs last September. And yes, someone's just mentioned it. Let's not forget, do support the women's team. You can buy tickets on the door or you can phone the West Ham ticket line and get your tickets. They play on Saturday at Chigwell Construction Stadium against Man City in the semi-finals. The game starts at 12:15. £8 a ticket, £2 for juniors. Do try and support them if you can. And then we went on about the players out on loan. Connor Coventry, I think he's the one that's going to probably make it through to the senior squad next season. I hope so. I like Coventry. And I talked a lot about the under 23s and how talented they are, and people have been saying, rightly so, why aren't they not getting some game time, and why is Moyes not utilised them more when we've been depleted in numbers? And then we talked a little bit about Lyon and their current form. Akambi got their late equaliser against Strasbourg, mid-table Strasbourg. Well, I think they're lower than mid-table Strasbourg at the weekend. And then I talked about their injuries. Lopez injury, I don't know. It could be a smoke screen. It could be that they're all back and ready to go. Iwaya, I don't know how you pronounce it, was quite talismanic, and he went off injured as well. But we've also got our injuries, and as people have alluded to, Zouma out injured, and it's all been put on the West Ham official website. Is it a smokescreen? I don't know. I hope so. I hope so. I hope he is back. Right. Right. I never do it, so I'm going to have to remember to do it. Down below, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. I'm going to find out what's going on with notifications, because I'm a bit upset that a lot of you have missed the start of the show, and I'm really sorry about that. I actually made it go live 2 hours before I went online. And also, I was early for a change. You even missed that. Can you imagine coming on late and not seeing me actually start on time? Hey, so what other chats have I got before I go? Women's team, mentioned that. If we get through, Creswell, no, he doesn't. All cards are wiped off. Good evening to you, relaxing Woody. I hope you're well. Do subscribe to the channel. It'd be lovely. Thank you if you can. If we go through, no, Creswell doesn't miss the semi-final. All the red cards are wiped out, yellow cards, etc. And it's only a one-game ban for a red card anyway. Not like the Premier League. Hammerette, Creswell only misses this game. Absolutely. Dabs. A reason why we've been bad on form recently could be because we're more focused on Europa League, and Rice has had to hold back on challenges because of suspension. Possibly. 6'2", absolutely. By the way, if there's a website to subscribe to 6foot2.co.uk. Nigel Khan, it's Nigel Khan's website, and do subscribe to it. There's some great content on there. GP, I contacted them about my seat. I asked if I can move out the English team 5-0. Hammerette, GP, you won't entice still in there. What, the men's loo? Stuart, the last leg against Lyon, they would cheat, so I think we would do it on Thursday. Absolutely agree. James, damn, I lost my connection for 10 minutes. What did I miss? Nothing. I just did a roundup for you. Dabs, Stel, would you take Rashford on loan? Yes. Yes. Yes, I would. The only problem is they'd have to subsidise 350 grand's worth of weekly salary. Hammerette, I've been to watch the women's team a few times, but I miss Zinni to lust over. Didn't you know that you were that way inclined? Ian, Article 52.04 UEFA. In addition, all yellow cards expire in the completion of the quarterfinals. They're not carried for exactly that. That's exactly what I read. And yet the match preview came out and said, I wonder if that's just a mistake and they forgot to take that off about Declan missing the next game. I think it's wrong. I think Declan, if he gets a yellow card, he still plays in the semi-final, first leg. Absolutely do. Kev, apparently Kretinsky can't get his money, but yet maybe not. But as I said, I don't believe Kretinsky came in. He used his money initially to wipe off a lot of our debt. It's never been an issue. It's never been a thing about Kretinsky's money has got to bankroll transfer windows. That's not my understanding. So as far as I'm aware, Kretinsky, regardless of whether he can access his money or not, it will not affect transfer window money. Peach, I would, Dabs. I don't rate him, but I think Moyes would get the best out of him, but not for 80 million. On loan, yes. You're talking about Rashford. I take him. I actually would take him. I'm not kidding. He's playing awful, but look at the atmosphere around Man United. You know, it's awful. People are really upset. Pat, I like this format still. Thank you, mate. Much appreciated. Russian. Rashford doesn't like paying his tax. Hey, come on. He's done a lot for homeless people and charities and all that. Get Lingard to have a word. Rashford. Both of them linking up would be good for us on Real Hammerhead. I absolutely really agree with that. I really do. Right, that's it. Right, details about the show, the channel. So please do subscribe. It would be fantastic if you do. I really appreciate your support. I'm so glad that some of you have found me. So I'm really pleased about that. Do subscribe. What I'll be doing moving forward, I mean, did I mention I'm going to Lyon tomorrow? But anyway, what I'll be doing moving forward is I want to do at least 3 shows a week. I want to commit to that. But they're not all going to be at the same time. Monday nights, obviously, West Ham Weekly, if I can. Otherwise, they'll definitely be on Tuesday nights, but there'll be one or the other. But primarily, if I can, I want to do them on Monday nights. And then I want to do like a lunchtime thing on Wednesdays, and then either a lunchtime or a late show on Fridays. That's what I want to commit to, and I really, really do want to do that. So thank you all for watching. Thank you all for subscribing. I hope you've enjoyed the show, and I'm going to leave it there. Bayern Munich are out. There you go. Thank you for the update, Daniela. Uh, thank you all for watching. Thank you all for hitting the like button, subscribe, all that crap that I'm absolutely no good at. WHU, will I do a 10-minute vlog from Lyon? Yes, I will. If I'm not being chased down the road by a bunch of Lyon fans. Yes, I will. I will do. I promise I will do something from Lyon. I promise. There you go. I won't say cross my heart and hope to die when I'm on my way to Lyon, because that would be really, really silly. Right. Great show. So thank you very much, and have a great time and stay safe. Thank you. I will. I will do a vlog from Lyon. I will. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for all your comments, etc. I mean, you keep me on my toes. I love it. I could never get through them quickly enough, but I really appreciate that. Have a great night, everyone, and I'll see you very soon.